You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Me asking you if I looked okay this morning. No, you saying, what did you say to me? You said, "Is this how you're going to record?" And I said,
I asked you. No, I said, "Are you?"
Yeah. What do I not look okay?
You're putting words in my mouth.
No,
I said, "Are you going to put on makeup before we record?"
And I said, "No, don't I look fine? I have yoga today." And you said, "Okay."
No, listen. I'm only.
You just said okay.
First off, I'm only basing it on how you like to be done up for the show, so people don't see your dragon lady face. Welcome to Before the Kids Wake Up. I'm Claude.
And I'm Renee.
How well did you sleep last night?
I mean, I didn't wake up to feet in my face, which I thought was pleasant.
Okay,
surprise.
So the other night, I think it was last night? I don't know what night it was. I came to bed. I was playing Xbox as I normally do, and I came to bed. I'm walking towards our bedroom door, and all I hear is like, pew, pew,
not that loud.
And like Thor's voice, Gawk, I'm going to get you out of here. I did it wrong, but anyhow, and I'm like looking over at you, and I'm like, you're passed out, and I'm like, I remember times where I will get up and just go to the bathroom and maybe like make a small noise, and you wake up with a Donald Duck, face at me, and I'm just like, how did you sleep with that loud? The movie was Extraction 2. I don't know if you guys are probably watching that on Netflix. It was Extraction 2 with Thor. Chris Hemsworth, one of the Hemsworths brothers, I don't even know. And you were like sound asleep. You were snoring.
I don't snore.
You were dead snoring, dead asleep.
I do not snore.
You were
Stop spreading lies.
You were in La La Land. You were out in a whole other world. And I lay down because Renee's love language is physical touch, and I go to like just kind of like stroke your hair.
It's not physical touch when I'm asleep.
and what did you do?
No. You didn't touch my head. You went like this. Down my arm, and so I thought you were bug crawling on my arm, and I jumped up, and I almost.
You see these big old fat fingers. You thought that this was a bug.
Did I swing on you? Because I felt like
I
was about to. I don't know if I did.
You literally were very close.
Because I was like getting ready to smack the bug that was on me. Like,
no, you were very close to punching me in my face.
Such a good sleep.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the movie?
No, I had to rewatch it yesterday.
What was it even about? It's so violent.
They're extracting somebody. They're saving somebody from a situation.
But weren't they extracting somebody the first movie?
Yeah.
So they're doing it again?
Yeah.
This could have infinite sequels because I'm sure somebody always needs extraction.
They're like, really cool people that go in and get paid to go in and save people.
Well, I don't like seeing Chris Hemsworth or Liam Hemsworth, whatever one he is. I don't like seeing him not as Thor.
Why? He's still just.
It was emotional scenes. Like he was just like, it was melodramatic, very violent, and it's like insane to me that you were able to sleep through that.
Or hey, did you notice?
Obviously, you didn't grow up in the hood.
Did you notice my cup?
Oh my God, that's your Mother's Day cup. The irony, Father's Day was last week, and so she's whipping out the Mother's Day cups to show how much the kids actually appreciate her.
I've been out of work all week.
I got an Xbox for Father's Day. She got a painted mug.
This year I didn't get anything.
Why do you? That's garbage. Do you keep? I bought you a custom wine glass that says "Mom, Boss," whatever the hell it says. Live, life, pray.
You compare that to
I
your
got you a
Xbox?
nice, expensive bottle of wine, and I got you some
$10.
flowers. It was $15 first off, and it was. But that's all. Just because you're simple, that's what you like.
I was fine with what I have. My point though was
I'm not. I want gifts.
Look, it's her.
Damn the
BS.
I am not fine with handmade macrame ties and
you're
and
extra
ugly
and
number
bougie.
one dad socks. No, I want an Xbox, and I got an Xbox. Yeah, with Harry Potter. Never
You
mind.
intentionally broke yours just so you had to. Get
I fixed it.
Whatever.
So now I have 2 Xboxes.
Anyway, so I've been off work all week. And
Happy Father's Day to me.
I don't do well with not doing anything when I'm not working. So I cleaned the entire kitchen, and when I organized it, this was in the back, and so I pulled it to the front so that I could use it.
There used to be 2. What happened to the other one?
The other one's in there, but I can't drink out of 2. Like that would look weird, wouldn't it?
And they're more like soup bowls to me than anything. Actually, I think I've eaten chili out of that thing before. Does it taste like a little bit? It's got the little orange ring around it.
It's washed. Shush.
Okay. Well, white always gets a little orange ring around the inside of it.
Plastic.
Oh,
This isn't plastic.
Whoops. Yeah. Speaking of you being off, you've been extra, just like around. It's been a lot.
Wait, I did though yesterday, right? So when I don't work versus when Claude doesn't work, very, very different. When Claude doesn't work, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do these things," and then he doesn't. He like maybe does like maybe he switches the laundry, right?
I don't do them when you want me to do them, but I do
when
them.
I'm off work, I tear the entire kitchen apart, reorganize, scrub the kitchen, get, all the yucky stuff off. And I actually have a checklist for myself where I'm going from room to room getting things done. I've been extra... I don't know. I've gotten a lot of things done. And then I cooked. I went to the grocery store. I cooked.
Cooking was the most amazing
I meal
thing.
prepped things. Reorganized. I made a charcuterie board
Charcuterie board.
Like I'm doing all the things. So I told him, I said, right now it'd be really nice if I didn't work, right?
Yeah, but except for the fact that every 5 minutes you were sitting behind me asking me questions while I was working.
I was not.
So the lesson learned is that you can be a stay-at-home wife, but I have to go in the office.
I mean, I'm okay with
I
that.
can't be here. I think that's too much exposure, us being around each other way too much. You don't agree?
No.
No?
I'm just living my best life.
It's the ironic thing is that she says that if I was off, that I wouldn't get things done. I wouldn't get things done at her pace, but they would get done.
No, because you don't clean. You would never tear apart our kitchen and like deep clean it with like degreaser and just like scrubbing things from top to bottom. I have never seen you do that. We've been together 10 years and you have never scrubbed the walls, the baseboard.
Yes, that's because I'm about preventative care.
fixtures.
There wouldn't be any grease on that stuff if we clean it off.
It's the kitchen. It automatically happens. You can't unless you pull everything out of a cupboard.
First off, you organized the kitchen when we moved in. So everything the way it is now is the way that you sought to have it be. No, but that doesn't mean,
but it has to be clean. You have to pull everything out and clean it. It's a kitchen. Kitchen gets like grease and stuff.
And I appreciate you for doing that.
I'm
just
saying,
like I'm sure you appreciate me taking out the trash. I'm glad that you know how to.
I had to take out the trash 3 times yesterday. I don't take out trash, and I took it out 3 times.
I'm glad that you know how to clean the baseboards, but you're not comfortable taking out the trash all the way to the trash can. Taking the trash bags out the trash and sitting it in the front of the door is not taking out the trash.
That's not my job.
That's still me having to take the trash out.
No, yesterday I just had to take it out to the trash bin, which is how I know that you're right. The trash bin did need to be taken out to the road yesterday, and is completely full now.
And what happened? It didn't get. No. We are one of those people that will literally, because we can hear the truck coming from the inside of the house, and we're one of those people that literally you're sitting there, you're reading emails or you're watching TV or something, and you hear oh crap, I'm gonna have to go and get it's literally like 3 days worth of trash gonna sit and pile up and stink up your front yard.
Because I've been cleaning everything, like it's full.
Yeah,
because I've been just throwing everything away.
Absolutely. I don't know what that beep was, but I'm sure we're fine. But yeah, no, have you had a good time off? Are you good?
Check back with me next week. I'm not sure. I feel very uncomfortable when I'm not working, but I'm actually enjoying not working. I'm hanging out with Olivia. We're getting along-ish. And I've gotten a lot accomplished. So and today, even I'm not dressed up or with makeup or my hair done because I'm going to yoga after this. And then her and I are going to go to the beach. I know. You say beach? It's not the beach, but it's the beach to me. It's water. We're going to go to a waterway where there's sand.
So if you're not from Tampa and you listen to this, we have a thing called the Redneck Riviera. And they've done everything they possibly can to make sure people don't go over there and swim and bring their dogs and lose their cars in the water. There's literally barriers up now.
No, it's so people can't drive their cars
because they don't want you there. If they don't want your cars there, they don't want you there.
No, they have signs up that you're allowed to be there.
People have lost their cars in the water.
Yeah, but I don't
they put up like these pylon thingies that keep you from getting over there now, and they're doing some kind of construction because it's not really a beach. I'm from the beach. Right, and it's not a beach. It's right next to like a power plant.
There's water and there's sand.
People are gonna literally start growing third eyes from swimming in there.
Not. Anyways, it's a really nice place that you can go because it has the trees, the mangroves. What are those trees called? They grow over the water, and so it's almost like natural shade. The dog can go with me. The kid can go with me.
I'm just happy to have you out of the house because you're driving me nuts.
Whatever.
And that is why you would never be able to be a housewife.
Why? Because I drive you nuts?
Yeah. When I'm home, she talks about when I'm home and I don't do scrub the baseboards and clean out the grease gutter of the stove, but you don't see me. I do my things. I hide in my hole, and I don't disturb you, do I?
I'd rather you disturb me if you were cleaning. You can disturb me anytime you want if you're cleaning.
Oh, is that what it is? So I can literally get away with anything if I'm cleaning?
I mean,
I'll keep that in mind. All I need to do is be cleaning something in order to get what I want.
I can't with you.
We'll see.
It's too early.
We shall see. All right. That's so funny. This is called Before the Kids Wake Up. We should probably talk about the kids.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
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 So it's kind of funny, right? Because Olivia's in summer camp and she's home with you this week too, and the boy is obviously not in school and doing his own thing, working and all that stuff, and it's kind of like become this like, who can ask for the most? Who can literally just kind of get in and just like, they walk in the door and the first thing is can I or may I or I want. Olivia wants all these different iPad games and the boy just wants to go and do all these crazy things with the girlfriend, and it's just like, you know what did we say the other day? Can we just literally leave them in the house and move away?
Yeah, actually, I told the boy that we were going to buy a van and we were going to take the dogs and leave in the van and leave the two kids here.
Right. And
but then that fool a couple days later said, so when are you going to buy the van so you guys can leave? I said it was supposed to be a threat, like a joke that you'd be like, no, don't leave. And he's like, so when is this going to happen?
The ironic thing about that is that at the end of the day, we leave and all hell would break loose. Well, what's going to happen? They're not going to pay. They're not going to be able to pay for the utilities or the taxes. You know, it's
they
just,
don't think that far.
They don't think that far in advance. They're just like, we're these magical people here that poof, things happen. Poof, I have clothes. Poof, there's electricity. Poof, there's Wi-Fi. Poof, there's food. They think that we're magicians. You know, they're not really attuned to the concept of the fact that, you know, things cost money and we have to make that money.
Sure. So I think one of the funniest things, though, that happened is last week, the girl was in daycare still. And so we go pick her up, but I still had 30 minutes left of my data meeting. So I tell her, hey, just chill, just be quiet, 30 minutes. Dad's in the office, he's working, just entertain yourself here. It's fine. So I'm in a meeting, my camera's on, right? I'm talking, and I hear psh, psh, psh. And I already know, I don't even have to look, I know it's sunblock because she had the sunblock in her bag from camp. And so I'm like muting myself and trying to secretly yell, stop it, like knock it off, and then unmuting myself. But she knows that I can't get up because I'm in a video meeting. So now I'm texting Claude like, hey, I need you to come get her. She's spraying stuff. And I feel like you took your good old time getting in there.
I was in a meeting too. I was working as well.
So anyways, out of the corner of my eye, I all of a sudden see Olivia start to run. I see Claude's head pop around. I see her start to run. She slips on the sunblock because she had been making like a slip and slide.
It was literally like a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Yeah, so she had sprayed it just all over the floor. Why? I mean, I don't know. But so he comes around to the corner to tell her to get out. She goes running. She slips in it and right into the wall she goes. She doesn't hurt herself because she wakes up kind of giggling a little bit. And I'm just like, what is
No,
happening?
I looked at her and I said, don't you cry. Don't you cry, because this is literally the epitome of that's what you get. And you reap what you sow, and you need to take it. And it's kind of funny because, and we haven't talked about this before, the girl has ADHD and, you know, diagnosed. So, you know, it's something that we have been working with. But with those types of, this type of, is it called a disorder or disease? What is it called? With this type of thing, diagnosis, they get bored very easily. They are constantly trying to find the next thing to do. And so oftentimes when Olivia gets her destructive behavior is as a result of the ADHD. And when she does not have something stimulating her, she will find something to stimulate her. And apparently it's making a homemade slip and slide in the living room.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it is kind of ingenious. I never thought to use the oil-based suntan because it is really slippery. Yeah. So, you know, she got some mileage when she fell and hit her.
I mean, I heard that.
It's literally like Tom and Jerry. The thing, you know.
But it was I didn't even hear you say anything. She just saw your head and she just went.
Yeah. It was a very much an oh crap moment.
Yeah.
I can't get away with this thing. But no, that was fun.
Yeah. So that's been our summer.
Yeah.
I mean, she has camp, but I mean, we still have to pick her up, and if some of our days sometimes run a little bit later, they kind of overlap, and yeah, it was. Yeah, so this week's going a little bit better.
Yeah.
One of our friends posted on Facebook, "Hey, what are your summer goals? This for this summer?
Not to kill my children."
No, I responded with, "Is survival a goal? Asking for a friend?"
Right.
And he said, tell your friend that that's my goal too.
Right.
I said, oh, thank God it's not just me.
It's just surviving these daggone kids, man. Like
There's just so much energy.
There's so many people on TikTok doing like hallelujah praise dances about the kids not having to get up early and take the kids to school and stuff. I will happily get up every morning to not have to deal with these kids for 6 hours, 8 hours a day.
Well, what I think too, as you kind of mentioned, right, the girl's a little bit more energetic.
Yeah.
Than the boy ever was.
Yeah.
And she, like you said, she is always seeking that next like rush of exciting things that she can do. And so sometimes it's a science experiment. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that we've opened up the freezer and there's just something random in something else random that got shoved in there because she's freezing it to see what'll happen.
Right.
And sometimes there's things inside of it. Sometimes it's water. Sometimes she'll find like a Jell-O packet or something and just throw it in there.
So as
water.
of right
It's
now, if we're going through the elements, she's worked with earth and water. Yeah. I think air is next, and God forbid fire.
Listen, we can't afford any more.
I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, maybe when she does all of those, she'll combine them to become Captain Planet or something. I don't know.
We have a membership with the plumber.
Yeah.
A yearly membership that we pay to get discounted stuff because the amount of times that the toilet has had something lodged in it.
I can't wait to be at her wedding and just be like, Olivia, you're the light of my life. I love you. I will miss you. I happily give you to your new husband. Also, here's the bill for the wedding and for all of the damage you have caused to my house. You can see it in your guest book on the way out.
In her defense, all the plumbing things have not been what's caused damage. It's our old house that has caused because we've also had plumbing issues. Because our house is old and we've had to replace things.
We could literally host a show called This Old House, and it would just be our house.
And
you know?
But I think we're all fixed now.
You remember the show This Old House? See, you don't even know what I'm talking
about.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get like 10 seasons out of it.
But yeah, so we understand the summer struggle. It's different, right? Everyone is on a different schedule when you're with kids. Or when you have kids and you go into the summer, even when they're in summer camp, whatever it is, the whole routine is off. And actually, we've spent a lot of time this week in therapy and things of that nature, therapists, just talking things through and like trying to have a better plan. Because when you are, especially a child with ADHD, those structures of that routine is just it's critical. It's critical to everyone's survival and happiness.
And this is just not just kids that have ADHD or ADD or any other type of learning difference or hyperactivity. This is the thing in general, families need a routine, a strict routine, something that you can follow over and over again. Because I think as kids who grew up with a lack of consistency, we can tell you that even in normal situations, it's good to have a routine. Yeah. It's integral, it's essential when you have a kid with ADHD, because that's one of the things that gets them off dysregulated. That's what dysregulates them and gets them to the point where they're all over the place. But I can tell you, we do things with the clothes where the clothes are pulled out a week ahead of time and then put in a drawer and labeled, for every day of the week. Mm-hmm. Toys should, hey, you got to get a toy out, you got to put a toy back. Strict bedtimes, 8:00. We can't manage to keep her in bed, but as long as we get in bed at 8, we try to start off there. Dinner at the same time. It's important that you have those routines, especially when if you have kids that have ADHD, but I think just kids in normal need a routine.
I just feel as if the boy we didn't have, his schedule could change up and it wasn't as, we didn't have the breakdowns, that
yeah, I'll say that though, and I'll agree with you on that. We don't have the breakdowns, but I think now as a teenager, he does struggle with routines. And I think that, that's something that,
I struggle when I don't have my routine.
Right. And me too. Like yesterday, not being able to go do what I wanted to do with the gym and off work and things like that. It takes you off your rocker.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly agree. So, I mean, you got to have those routines in place.
Yeah.
And you got to, and it does require a lot of partnership. It will admittedly so in our relationship. It's oftentimes one person that ends up doing the bedtime or the baths,
Yeah.
or the clothes.
Well, that way we know our responsibilities when we have time for our gym, when we have our downtime for ourselves.
You have to split those responsibilities, though. You can't really just be one person. I mean, unless you have a dedicated stay-at-home parent that just does that alone, like nothing else. You know, it's difficult. But if you're working parents just trying to manage, you're gonna have to split that time.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of have your thing that you do, and then maybe shuffle it up every 3 months or so. I don't know, whatever works for you guys. So it was funny. We were having a conversation the other day, and we had therapy yesterday. And we'll get to a couple things that we learned there. But remember we were having a conversation the other day. You were watching that daggone, what was that, Nicholas? Was it a Nicholas Sparks movie?
Yeah, The Choice.
The Choice. What would that end up? What the hell did that end up even being about?
I don't want to say.
So you don't even know.
No, maybe somebody.
Oh, you think that you're gonna spoil a Nicholas Sparks movie for somebody?
No, but essentially, it's
Newsflash is literally the same storyline every single movie.
It is not. No, it's really just about the choices that you make and how different your life can be based off of the choices that you make.
Well, one of the things that sparked the conversation for me was the idea of happily ever after, and I think that the Nicholas Sparks vomitly so is one of those things that you watch and it's a happily ever after type scenario. And I was talking to you about this because I've seen this a lot lately, the happily ever after on wedding invitations, on Facebook posts, social media. Hey, I'm starting my happily ever after. And I think that's such a
cliche.
No, it's more than a cliche. I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
I mean, I agree.
Because I don't think that marriages or relationships have a happily ever after.
Well, you have to kind of fine tune that statement.
Why?
I mean, it's the idea of what people think happily ever after, right? When people say happily ever after, they're like, oh, we're gonna go off
like
into
a
this
fairytale
dream world.
Yeah.
We're just love is going to get us through it all.
Yeah.
It does not. Hard work. Sometimes therapy.
Yeah, no, every time therapy,
having a lot of understanding, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of surrounding yourself with good people. I think that that's also important. Those are going to help you to have to be a happy life, right?
Not having kids.
Not having kids. No, but I see this because you and I think that we're happy, right?
Yeah.
We argue, we fight, we disagree. You're right. There are a lot of down moments, or not the best moments, right, necessarily for us. But I think we are very happy. But would I say that this is just easy?
Yeah.
Heck no. Like it's just, I don't know. I just see, and nobody could tell. Well, this is my second marriage. So trust me, when I got married to Claude, I knew that there was no romantic, happily ever after. This is just going to be roses all the time, right?
Rude.
I knew that because that's not what marriage is.
So
Marriage
I
is
didn't
hard.
scream romance for you, is what you're saying.
Not romance. We're talking about things being easy.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the tricky thing about getting married is that, you go into it love, but if you're not both willing to put in the work, it's not going to work. If you have just one partner putting in all the work and trying to do everything to make it work and the other one does not, it's not going to work.
Well, I think it's definitely something where I think people go into a happily ever after with the expectation that ever after we're going to be happy. And we're not going to have problems. I found the one. And because I found the one, that's going to magically change my life. And the fact of the matter is now it's just two people going through the crap. And that's what changes people. It's all good when you get the house and you have the kids. What happens when those kids have ADHD or problems, or the house is an old house that has problems, or we lose a job, or God forbid something happens with an illness or something like that. So the problem is that when you say happily ever after, it's you're insinuating that you're not going to have any problems. And the fact of the matter is that life is problems. And I think that, when you're with someone, it's important to be looking not for your happily ever after, but for your partner that's going to be able to go through the crap with you, and not the happily ever afters, but the constant problem to problem to problem to problem, because that's what life is. There's always an issue, big or small. There's always going to be an issue, and I think that you have to go into it with the concept of, hey, this is not going to be a happy life. This is going to be a life. and I'm going to have a life partner.
I think you can call it a happy life as long as you understand the definition.
As long as you understand it's not like a fairy tale
right?
thing, right? Sorry about that.
But I think Michelle Obama, right, says it best when she, on her last book tour, and she was doing the interview, and she says there was a full 10 years I did not like my husband.
How could you not like Barack Obama?
That's what I say. But I get it, because then she says it's about them kids were little. I get it. I understand, because you start to really get challenged when you're challenging each other's ideas, right? You come from two, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, you change every 7 years. You're a different person.
No, but when you come from two different backgrounds, you come
it's just
from
the TV. Don't worry about it.
I was like, what is that? You come from two different backgrounds, so your parenting is different, and you're never going to realize how different your parenting is until you're in those moments.
Right.
And so then you're having to work through those times together, and then you have things such as, and I mean, we've had these issues. Oh, you got time to go to the gym every day? When do I get to go to the gym? When do I get to have my peace time? And so you start to now turn on each other, and neither of your needs are being met because you're just trying to keep the tiny humans alive.
Right.
And so there's some aspects of life that I don't think even when you get married that you can predict or you can prepare for until you're in it. And then once you're in it, you have two choices. You fall apart and crumble, or you really dig in deep and you put in the work. And I feel like that's where we're at is.
I'll say this. I think that marriage, relationships in general, right? Romantic relationships, and this might even be the same thing for friendships too, but I'll just say relationships in general, specifically to marriage and dating. You have to wake up every morning and make a conscious choice to be in that relationship.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things, if you really think about it in life, that you have to make a conscious decision to be in this relationship. I'm going to stay and be in this relationship. You don't wake up every morning and make a conscious decision to eat. You don't wake up every morning and make a conscious decision to take care of your kids. I mean, you don't have to, but then you'll go to jail. You don't wake up every morning and make a conscious decision to not commit crime. These are just basic inherent things. Relationships are one of the things that you have to wake up every single morning and make a conscious decision to be in this relationship and stay in this relationship. And that requires work.
But I think that goes to friendships too.
Okay.
I don't think it's as hard with friendships because you're not normally like, you're together
right.
and having to work through all this shit together. But yeah, no, it's really hard.
Right.
It really is. And I think sometimes we set false expectations. And the other thing, Michelle Obama had talked about was people are out here spending all this more time and energy on their weddings than they are on their
marriages.
Marriage. And then they're like, oh, well, I deserve to feel comfortable. And if I don't, then I'm just going to end it right.
Well, a lot of y'all are comfortable and single again because, the focus wasn't on the marriage. The focus was on how do we look as a couple? We're doing these things and sending our kids to do these things and the perfect schools and the perfect cars and the perfect houses. And that looks good on an Instagram picture with a filter. But at the end of the day, that doesn't hold water when you're trying to live the rest of your life with someone.
Yeah.
So you can have a happily ever after, but understand more realistically, it's I'm happy intermittently every once in a while. No. I'm happy intermittently on a regular basis, but I got to work at it.
Yeah.
That happily ever after is not inherent, and it doesn't just happen like a fairy tale. It's something that you do have to work. And a lot of times that truly happy, that ain't gonna really happen until you get them kids out your house.
Well, and I think too, right, it transitions to, some of the things that we kind of discussed even yesterday in therapy. And one of them being is that we are spending so much time on each other, working in our relationship, with not just us, but with our kids, right? We both have stressful jobs, demanding jobs. We don't have a whole lot of time for any other outside crap.
Right.
We just don't. And we're starting to recognize some of these changes, in which, we're just like, we just don't have time for it. Like, hey, you do what you got to do, but we just don't have time for anything extra, whether, it be family or friends or whatever outside. We don't have time to get into whatever. We just don't.
Yeah.
And I know that we've been kind of questioned of, you can't just come do whatever tonight. Like, because we used to, right? We used to drop everything and just go. We hold our date nights very dear to our hearts. We've decided we have one day that we're like, hey, on this day, we have to all relax as a family and do nothing, because otherwise we're rushing all week long and it sets the tone for the whole week.
Well, every family, every person, and again, this is not just about people in relationships, it's people trying to get in relationships, it's people who are single, people who have kids, all of the above. It comes to a point where you have to focus on what's important to you, right? we all have our little biodomes that we're responsible for nurturing and make grow and become something. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to take care of your little space on this earth. You have to do it. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to focus on this and hit you up later. Because at the end of the day, again, if you want your happily ever after, it's something that you have to work on. And a lot of times, unless you won the lottery or you just happen to be fortunate, you don't have infinite resources. Especially not energy. Energy is not an infinite resource. It's something that you gotta take a break. And you only have enough time. You can only be pulled so many directions. So if you're truly working on yourself, your relationship with your kids, your parenting skills, all those things, whatever you're working on, it does require you to take a break and kind of focus on it.
And I think too, right, for especially those that are people pleasers, I'm a huge people pleaser, and I am somebody who will dive in, and if you need something, I'm always volunteering. And what I have found, and what a big transition in my life, within the last probably 6 to 8 months, is I can't, because I was finding myself giving all my energy, all my extra time for other people. And I felt as if I was not getting that back from anybody. And at the end of the day, then I was getting mad and angry. But really, I was the only one that I could blame, because I just was giving more to everybody else than I was giving to myself.
Right.
And so there's been a huge transition for me in my life, in that I'm not volunteering to do everything. I'm not volunteering to jump every time somebody needs something. I'm being very aware of what's going on in my household. What are my needs being met? Are my family's needs being met? Okay, great. If I have time now, I can help you. But it was hard for me because I felt guilty. I don't like saying no. I don't like not helping people.
Say no to me all the time.
That's because you ask so many damn questions. But no, just I think that's an important kind of takeaway just in general, especially if you're somebody who's a people pleaser, is it's okay to tell people no, and it's okay to put somebody first, and you don't even owe them an explanation. You really don't. And because I felt then like I have to over explain why I'm not doing whatever, and you don't even have to give them that. You don't owe any explanations at all. Whether it be, it's you don't have it in your budget, or you don't have the mental, whatever the case may be, it's okay to tell people no.
All right, guys. So it's the part of the show here where we answer some questions, and this is actually kind of an interesting one that Renee's going to find good. Excuse me. So this is from Anonymous. Lately, feeling more open to children, but terrified for the infant and early toddlerhood phases. Toddlerhood, is that a word? I see the appeal. I can't read that because I don't have my glasses. I feel like an old person now. Okay. I see the appeal of having a family. Having children from preschool age to adulthood genuinely sounds rewarding, and like I'd enjoy it more than half of the time, assuming the child or children have no major issues. But I am not a baby person. I am not really a toddler person either. Unfortunately, my husband isn't either. We just got back from extended family vacation with multiple babies, toddlers. I don't know why that keeps going up. With multiple babies, toddlers ranging from 4 to 16 months, and it was so overstimulating for us.
Yeah.
And we were onlookers. I can't imagine how the parents felt.
Exhausted.
Every day we were woken up by different screaming infants, yet had to completely walk on eggshells during the nap and bedtimes. Yeah. My husband was bothered by the mess of toys the parents brought and didn't clean up, while my husband and other currently child-free family members spent 7 to 10 hours a day at the lake or on an excursion. Those with kids were lucky to leave the house for 2 to 3 hours. That's a lot, even then. And then we were talking about how much money their family spent just to be cooped up inside enslaved to nap schedules all day, every day. Whew. I know people say it's different when it's your own, but I still worried that having a baby would break me mentally based on my current feelings on babies, very young children, our relationship. But then I think it might be worth it for when your kids get older, but 1 to 2 years is so long with no real breaks, and my husband would prefer to have at least 2, so it's really 2 to 4 hard years, like jail. If anyone had a similar mindset, has anyone ever had a similar mindset but either took the plunge or definitely decided to remain child-free? I'd love to hear your experience. You want to take that one, Renee?
Oh, this is so interesting. So first off, we have kids in multiple ranges. We're one getting ready to leave the house, and then one that is still very much has like 10 years left.
Right.
I've been told by my friends who I say, oh my gosh, I always thought teenage years were going to be better, and it's really not. They said, don't worry. When they're in their late 20s, that's when you're going to like them again.
Yeah.
Late 20s, y'all. It's not.
Yes,
This
you
is
said
not
2 to 4 years.
years.
No, it's 20
No,
years.
it is. So, I mean, there's so many. I love having children. I do love being a mom, but it's draining. It's exhausting. In all of that you saw, that's exactly what happens. You
Right.
spend a lot of money on vacations
Yep.
for them to cry, tell you this isn't what they want to do.
Yep.
Why do we have to walk so long? When can we go home? I don't like this food.
They beg to know, are we there yet? Then when you get there, oh, this is it.
Yeah, and this is really what we're going to do all day long. You want me to just sit here and just look at these things?
Yeah.
So it's very, I mean, don't get me wrong though, but we do have great memories,
Yeah.
right? Of going and to different places and vacations and different events. So, but the thing is that that's your life for a good 18 years.
Yeah.
Because even when you get out of that, once they become teenagers, right now you can leave them, alone for more than 2 to 3 hours a day. But then you have a whole nother slew of problems, right? You're concentrating on what are they going to do in their future. You're focusing on their self-confidence, their grades, their
Future.
They're just their social aspect then, right? Because that's trying to help a teenager to mold who they're going to be, because you don't get to decide who they're going to be. They are. So you're just trying to guide them as to what they're going to. It's hard. It's hard. I think the toddler years, least of my worries. If I could do it all over again, I would just have, because they can't talk. They can't really move.
Olivia talked at the girl talked at 1. She could talk at 1, and she could walk at 1.
But not how she does now.
No, so
I'll take the
yeah.
one
So
word
let's level set that 2 to 4 years. Multiply that by about 4. It's you gotta be doing this until they're well into their teen years, and the stuff gets smaller, but it gets more expensive, and the kids don't ever really appreciate you. I hate to say that, kids don't never appreciate their parents, not until they're in their mid to late 20s or when they're parents themselves. So the idea, I think, if I understand your question correctly, is that you are worried about having toddlers and babies. Toddlers and babies, it's a weird concept, because you're dealing with the poop and pee and whining and crying, and they're a mess all the time, and you get the strain peas all over the face. All your stuff is destroyed when they color on it, and your walls and all those different things. I will say those are the sweetest years, because they are wholly dependent on you. You do feel a little bit more validated as a parent in those times. But as they get older, it does, they do kind of move away from you a little bit here. But if you don't want, and I'll say this because I think you're missing this also option as well, because if you don't want a baby or a small kid, you could always adopt. There are plenty of kids who need families right now, and you could foster a young child that's not a baby and skip that stage altogether. Now, I would suggest doing what I did, but you guys are already married together, which was to find somebody who already had a 6-year-old, and I got to skip that portion of his life the first time around. But then I got kind of drawn in and tricked into it with the second born. But we feel you, we understand you, and you're absolutely right. The good thing is that you have friends where you can kind of practice. And if it isn't for you, ultimately,
okay.
You don't have to have kids.
It's so okay.
I have plenty of friends that don't have kids, that don't want kids, and they live very nice, fulfilled, actually fun. We're jealous. We live vicariously through them, on constant boat trips and vacations and working on each other. And we oftentimes say on the show, we love our kids. We would never give them back or give them away. They're part of our life, and we would miss them if they were gone. But I will say that our lives will be completely different if we didn't have kids.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So
It's hard. And it doesn't have to be for everybody. I think sometimes, right, there's this press that everyone has to have this family. You don't.
You seem to have a pretty good nexus to children already. There's a lot of people in your family and friend group that have kids, so you can get that experience if that's what you really want. But if you can stand to be without them, and that's more important to you, then you don't have to have kids. There is no pressure. The only pressure that you have to put on to actually have kids is the pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say, and I'm going to leave you guys with this, and like I did last time. We talked in therapy about when you're having an interaction with your spouse and your kids are around, it's never good to have an argument in front of your kids, right? It's never good to discuss things between married people in front of your kids, because it can get heated, it can get whatever can happen. And one of the things that I think that we had an epiphany about was making it about your kids and removing yourself. You know, if you're discussing something about your kids or with your kids, or you're trying to give parental advice, it's okay to tell that kid to leave the room so that you can discuss as parents. Because oftentimes I think when you have a discussion about your kids or for your kids, it becomes about the two parents and not the kid.
Because it's the difference of our opinions
Right.
And it loses focus over the kid that
The
we're
kid.
trying to figure out the issue with. Yeah.
So if it's going to be a thing between you and your spouse, super simple, remove the kid from the situation. Hey, kids, step away, let mom and dad have a conversation real quick about your grades, your curfew, your driving privileges, the fact that you just drew on the wall and destroyed something very expensive. Those conversations are conversations that really should stay amongst mom and dad, or dad and dad, or mom and mom, or partner and partner. And the best thing that you can do to focus on your kid is to remove them from the situation.
Yeah.
So, and discuss it one-on-one. Well, guys, that's before the kids wake up. I think Renee has to go to yoga. But remember to like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. We're available on Spotify for podcasters and all major streamers. So make sure you guys listen to us there. And TikTok. Check out our TikTok and our Instagram. There's some fun things on there as well. But y'all take care of yourselves and have a great day. I am Claude.
And I'm Renee.
And this is Before the Kids Wake Up.